What's up everyone, Arctic here, bringing you guys a brand new Gears of War 3 gameplay and commentary. Today I'm bringing you guys a team deathmatch on the map Raven Down, and I have a very interesting topic of discussion. As the title suggests, it is putting things into perspective, and the best way I can make this all make sense is that we've had some major titles come out these past couple of weeks, those being Black Ops 2 and Halo 4. And over the past year or so, I've had a lot of you Gears of War fans kind of complain about the game, and I've been one of them. There's different things about the game that I dislike to this day, and there's things that I just know won't change. But I've done a bit of research now in different communities just to see what types of complaints overlap. And what I want you guys to take away from this, and I might get a little fired up, but I don't mean to come off as being offensive, and I'm not trying to be judgmental of anyone or anything like that, or tell you guys how you should complain or whatever. Offer up feedback is what I like to call it. But I've noticed a lot of overlap between what people complain about, and those two things are whether or not a game stays the same, or whether something changes in the game. Those two things, staying the same or changing, are what a lot of gamers complain about with franchise titles. If they stay the same, there's an issue. If they change, there's an issue. So as a developer, there's nothing you can really do. And I touched on this before, but I now have specific examples after researching this. So I'm going to start with lag, right? So Gears of War, people complain about the dedicated servers, and nothing on my end has changed with my internet connection. I've had the same connection since you guys have seen my very first uploads for Gears of War 3 all the way up until now. My internet connection and internet speeds have all stayed the same. Have the same provider, same internet speed, nothing has changed. I've also played Halo and played Call of Duty. So the idea to me that, first off, the idea that the dedicated servers aren't real, or that they're myths, or that they're not on or whatever, is just mind-boggling to me after playing these two games, because you're, again, connecting to peer-to-peer is a hell of a lot different than connecting to dedicated if you have a pretty stable internet connection. And I'm sure most of you guys understand latency. But Black Ops, you could be 4-bar and still experience lag. Halo, same thing. You could have a perfect connection and still experience lag. And I won't say Halo is as bad as Black Ops, because Black Ops is in like a far end of the spectrum for me for being a AAA title. Halo wasn't as bad. It was only really the first 2 days that I had just a hell of a lot of lag. But on Black Ops, it's just consistent, like really bad. And I've now know that you can kind of filter out and to get the best search results, but even still server results, I guess, for ping. But still, I've experienced 4-bar lag, and I've seen this as a predominant topic of discussion for a lot of people on Twitter or on their different community sites. So for me, it's kind of like, man, how can you complain about Gears of War? And I get that there's certain regions that it might be affecting and all that stuff, but if you're in the States, man, whew, it's like buttery smooth, especially if you are, again, putting it into perspective in comparison to other games. That's not to say that things can improve. There obviously always needs to be improvements, but man, some of the things I've seen people say, how can you say those if you've played those other games in this day and age? Okay? Alright, so that's one thing. Now, the next, and this is probably where I might get a little fired up. Again, I don't mean to offend anyone, but this is one that kind of pisses me off the most, is the idea that Gears of War is turning into Call of Duty. Alright, you've seen people say Gears of Duty or COD of War, and with these latest 2 games that have just come out, there is a very clear impersonator of Call of Duty. Now, have you played Halo 4? Holy shit. Have you played some Halo 4? Ordnance drops? Hello, score streaks. Perks? Hello, support upgrades. Now, there's features directly in Halo that are taken directly from Call of Duty. Now, the only thing that I feel like, and this is, I mean, you can be mad about this, you can say that it's a Call of Duty ripoff, is prestiging and re-upping in Gears of War and Call of Duty are pretty much the same now, right? I mean, you can re-up and you can prestige. Okay, so I get that. But feature-wise, Where's this notion of Gears of War is turning into Call of Duty? Is it the fact that you guys feel that the game is becoming easier or more accessible? I mean, because the game really isn't that easy. I mean, it's just not. And this is going to touch on my last point if I have enough time, but that's just mind-boggling to me that people are making direct comparisons between Gears of War and Call of Duty and saying they're somehow connected feature-wise. I mean, the games don't even play remotely close to the same at all. There are no features currently in Gears of War 3 that even match any previous Call of Duty other than Prestige. And you look at Halo 4, you tell me that they didn't say, alright, Call of Duty is clearly doing something right with these perks, and we have armor abilities, and we can make some things that would match that, and I think we could hook people in and get them playing like they did with Call of Duty. There is a direct comparison. Now, you guys want to be offended by something, be offended by that. Don't be offended by don't be offended by Gears of War, please. Like, I just don't understand that at all. So that's the one that's probably the most offensive out of all these, is when people make that comparison. It is so aggravating for me to see people say that. It's like, have you played anything else? All right, gotta woosah a little bit. All right, map design, spawning. Now here's an issue that is in every single game. Map design, spawning, Gears of War 3, team deathmatch. Why do you only have 2 spawns? Just really bad. Spawn camping galore. Doesn't even make sense. Even King of the Hill, the spawn dynamic, the spawning logic is not very good. Halo, map design. I played Haven more than I played any other map by like something like 5-1. I counted it a couple days ago. It's like 4 or 5-1 is how many times I played Haven in comparison to every other map. Again, the maps that they released aren't very good. Spawning wise, I don't really feel too offended by spawning logic in Halo. But there are some times when I have, clearly thought the spawns were going to flip, and sometimes a guy ends up behind me and I'm like, man, what the hell? That's messed up. It's happened a little bit. There are a couple maps where I think it's pretty bad for certain game types, but I'm not going to get into the finite things of those because I'm going to save those for some Halo commentaries. Now, Black Ops. I had a commentary about this, about their map design. Not really digging it as much as I was the original Black Ops. Black Ops 2, I'm sorry. I'm not really digging their map design. Just because, they have a lot of small maps, but I feel like it's too intricate. So their spawning logic kind of messes up because of this intricate design. People are constantly flipping spawns. You got to worry about a guy constantly flipping and being behind you and then shooting you in the back. It is probably the most aggravating spawning I have ever experienced, other than Modern Warfare 3, which I can't stand. So for me, Black Ops kind of drops the ball with their whole spawning. Map design, there's some maps that I like, but there are other maps, again, I feel like they're kind of too intricate. And maybe that's just me. So each one has their little thing where I'm like, yeah, you guys need to work on that and figure that out. But I don't know what the solution is, but there's definitely some correlation. Halo probably has it the best right now, but again, the map selection that they released with is pretty terrible. Epic, they have some decent maps, but they don't have game types that match the map design. They were kind of stuck in execution, and then they implement Team Deathmatch, King of the Hill. They don't really work with those maps. So I think Judgment is going to try to alleviate that by, making maps specific for game types. We'll see. Weapon complaints. Here's another one that is really big, right? This is one of those things where it's like, you change, you're still screwed. So Epic tried to introduce the Retro Lancer and the Sawed-Off in Gears of War 3, and to this day, they are still probably more hated than any other weapon in the game. I'm been pretty negligent on taking any type of side on either one. I was really offended by the Sawed-Off prior to its nerf back in like November 2011. But the Retro Lancer, I've always been, and still to this day, I don't really like the Hammer Burst. But that was in Gears of War 2, so it's like, I knew it was there and it's still an issue, but none of the weapons have really offended me to a point where it felt like I couldn't play the game at all. And that's all people were doing, was using the Retro, and it was like so bad. Just never really had that experience. Halo, they introduced a bunch of new weapons, and balance wise, you know, from the videos that I've put out, there's a lot of people that are complaining about certain weapons, the balance of them. A lot of people complaining about the new weapons, the balance of them. This doesn't go away. Like, if you introduce new weapons, it doesn't go away. But at the same time, if you don't introduce new weapons, it's an interesting experience. And there's where Black Ops kind of comes in. I don't really feel like any of the weapons in Black Ops make it a new experience. You know what I mean? It's like, balance wise, I'm gonna use what I'm gonna use. Because I know it's pretty lethal. My shot to kill and my time to kill is really low. So it's like, I don't really feel like there's any innovation and change. It feels like the same point click shoot with any gun that I use. There are a couple weapons that I can think of that are pretty offensive to me in terms of, you know, like their range and damage output. But for the most part, they've stayed the same. And that's one of the reasons that I feel like people are like, man, this feels like the same old game that it always feels like. That's because the weapons don't really feel that different. Yeah, they add some new like score streaks or whatever, but to get to that point, to use them, you still have to shoot people with the same guns. So either way, in all three of those situations, there's nothing that the developer can do to appease people, to make them kind of be like, oh, well, this game did this, you know, maybe we can have a chance at trying something new. And if we try something new, well, we saw the backlash that they got. Maybe we'll just stick to the same old tried and true. So it's like, I don't really know what to think about that in terms of, is there a solution? I don't really think there's a solution. I think people are still going to be the same way they are about those specific things. The last one that I want to talk about is aim assist. And, you know, I've seen a couple people, I believe I've had Farnico kind of mention this to me a couple times, and a couple of you guys talking about aim assist in Gears of War 3. And, you know, I've never been one to really pay attention to Gears of War's aim assist, because it's so, like, not there in relation to other console shooters. Like, I know it's there, I know it is, but it just doesn't feel like it. You know what I mean? Halo, man. I remember Halo 2, Halo 3, Halo Reach, all of them. You could have your gun sitting on someone that they've moved a little bit. That cursor is going to drag with them. Like, predominantly drag with them. It was never to the point where it felt like it was offensive to me, other than maybe Halo 2, but it was always there. Call of Duty. Oh my God. I tweeted about this a couple days ago, and the aim assist in that game is, it almost messes you up. It's so it's just so like overbearing, and it's mind blowing how much aim assist is in that game. So here's an example that I gave when I tweeted about it. You could be sitting in a corner, and it's very hard to hear unless you have an awareness perk and you're using headphones. It's very hard to hear people moving without like UAV or whatever to know where they are in position in relation to you. If you sit in the corner, you just have your gun out, and someone is kind of in your vicinity that's on the opposing team, your reticle will drag before they come on your screen. So like, you can see through walls by literally holding your gun in that direction, waiting for an enemy to move in order to know that they are there. Now that is some aim assist. So when people complain about aim assist in Gears, I'm just like, what? Have you played other console shooters? Have you played Black Ops? Have you played Halo? And then make that comparison. It's like, man, you guys are killing me, Smalls, you're killing me. So yeah, that's all I wanted to really talk about, and just I just needed to let that out because it was bothering me, and just not saying anything. I mean, I kind of alluded to it a little bit, and you know, I've asked people, have they played other games, to kind of make these comparisons, but it's like, man, you guys really need to play some other games and then reevaluate and reassess where Gears of War lies in relation to the other big titles on the consoles, because I think you'd be kind of taken aback. I think you'd have a lot more respect for what Epic is doing and what It's not to say that they're any better. I'm not trying to word it like that. There's not any better than any other studio out there. They're not making games that are just blowing other people out of the water or anything like that. But I just think from a fan perspective and a community supporter, the feedback that we offer needs to be more valuable than this shit sucks because of the game is too easy, or this shit sucks because spawning is terrible, or this shit sucks because of aim assist. It's like, what? Come on. Come back with some constructive feedback for me. Alright guys, peace.